Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be looking at making a magic colour card layout in my journal using the new Dina Wakley release. So this is a magic card journal. It's an adapted version of a card I used to make a long time ago that I've actually made into my journal. So I just wanted to show you this little video so you can sort of see what I'm aiming for when we start the video, because otherwise you'll be thinking, what is she doing? So I'm starting off in my little 6x6 craft journal and I'm creating a frame on one page. These are the new Dina Wakley square stamps in her August release, and when I saw them I thought this would be a really cool idea to put them on the page and see how they sort of mosaic together. So I was playing around with the different sizes in the shape or in the frame just to see what would fit in and how it would fit in. So as you well know, I don't measure very much in my journals. Usually I'll use the things around me to help me out. So you can sort of see me there using the stamps to help me work out what size I actually needed. So I'm going in and cutting the frame, making sure that the stamps fit in. And you saw me when I put the stamps in where I wanted them, I put them straight onto the block as well and picked them up. Now obviously if you've got a stamp positioner you could use that, but I chose to use my block. I find it a little bit easier. The next thing that I did was cut out some white card. Now you'll need 2 pieces of white card, which I realised later on when I'm doing this, to do this little trick. So basically we're going to be making a little flip folder with a piece of acetate and a piece of white card, and then we're going to have a piece of white card in between the sandwich, so that I'll give you the little magic addition. So this is some acetate I bought from my local newsagents. You can use any acetate you want. One of the things that you need to do with this is to line it up carefully. Now I am just doing it by sight, and I'm stamping with my archival ink. I would recommend, if you have one, using StazOn. It will dry faster and be more permanent. The archival ink is oil-based, so it does dry eventually, but it's more likely to smear. So just be aware that you know, you do need to sit it aside to dry for quite a while, which is okay to do when I'm doing this because I had a bit of time to play around. So this is me just working straight onto the cardboard version, and on the piece of cardboard you need to add colour in some shape or form, whether it's, you know, having a pre-coloured sheet, or if you're doing what I'm doing and just adding colour to the images. So this is where you sort of get that magic illusion of, oh, it was black and white and now it's got colour on it. I'm just going in and painting the faces using my usual 3 colours of ocean and magenta and lemon for my mid and highlights and contouring and shading colours. I just really like using these colours. I like how they blend together. I like that they're a bit odd and unusual, and they just add that extra pop of colour. So I'm just going in while it's still wet, sort of blending the colours a bit together. One thing about painting over face stamps in particular is you can kind of see where the shading's supposed to go anyway, so it does give you a little bit of a guide of where you should be making it darker or lighter. With these little ones down the bottom, I'm just adding in, they're sort of a little bit pop arty, so I'm not actually blending the colours together, I'm just colouring the different sections in the different colours. So I've got those 3 same colours. As I was going, thinking, oh, you know, should I paint the background? Not 100% sure. So that was the sort of decision I left till later. I've used a little bit of Sedona for the lips. It was a little bit heavy-handed on one of them. I think I wiped some of it away, but it, you know, I didn't mind it in the end. I'm also going in, as I usually do with my white pen, adding a few little highlights, putting in the catch-alls and the eyes just to make sure that everything looks like it's supposed to, and putting in my turquoise eyes because that's what I always do. So you can see me there going, shall I colour in the background? So I'm just rubbing out the little guide marks I had. And I decided I was going to go really bright with this, so I've got lime that I was going to use as my backgrounds. And these stamps are really cool because they've got those frames on them as well. So, you know, you've got those little areas to work within. Quite often with faces like this, though, I would maybe stamp them without the frame on them. So, you know, ink them up and then wipe away the ink around the frame, or cut it out depending on what you're doing. You can make some really cool heads and shapes on it. I like the fact that they're all in different sizes too, so you get a few different sizes in each one. And as you can see from what I'm doing, if you're a card maker, brilliant set of stamps for cards as well. That could be a card front just as is, or do what I'm doing and put it in your journal. So with the outside, I'm just adding a touch of that turquoise and popping it around the frame as well, just to balance it all up. I was still, when I was doing this, kind of considering, am I going to colour in the white of the card as well and make it sort of really make a pop of difference when I came through. In the end, I decided not to. I'm glad I did, but you know, it's something else that you could do. So to give my piece a real contrast of that black and white, I am painting my frame with my black gesso and painting the side page as well. Originally hadn't planned to do this page, but I thought it would be a good way to put a quote on to sort of balance up the page. I'm just using black gesso because it dries really quickly and is really, really matte. At this stage, I actually thought that I hadn't thought it through very well. I thought I'd be using the craft as my background, but I realised I had to use a bit of white paper. So I'm not actually seeing the craft paper, which I really like, but that's okay. Now I'm just going in the background with this stamp, which is another new release from Dina Wakley from the Seeing is Believing page, and I'm just using some of the archival ink on the black. Now it kind of loses it here, but when you saw me stamping it on to begin with, you could see what a contrast there was. That because the black is oil based, it has a little bit of a shine to it. So up close, when you see it, it's very, very subtle, but when you tip the page, you get this sort of glint of the print. So it looks like it's all disappeared now, but in the close-up, you can kind of see where it all fits together. So now I'm going to, you can sort of see me considering what I needed to do here. I'm going to make my little secret pocket that makes this page all work. I'm using the red lino tape, double-sided tape, which is really, really tacky. You've noticed I've cut it down really, really thin because I couldn't find my thin tape. It's really important when you're doing this to leave yourself as much room as possible to slide the piece in and out. When I've done these in the past, sometimes I glue down too much and I don't actually leave myself enough room to slide my little slip into the pocket. So you know, if you can use as little tape as possible, that's best. And I suggest using tape over using glue, just in the fact that glue sometimes, you know, spreads out a little bit, and you can glue down something you didn't mean to. I also decided, just to help pull the little flappy bit out, that I would put a little cut in. So I just used an old washi tape circle to use that. You can see I don't have very many nails, so I have to use my knife to help me close my page. So now I've got my little secret pocket in there. It kind of, by painting that top little bit black, it sort of helps blend it in a little bit so it doesn't give away the secret. Now I'm just going to use washi tape to glue the whole thing together. When you're doing this, it's really, really important that you line up your acetate with your picture. So you noticed it was a bit bigger than my cardboard sheet, so I had a bit of room to move with moving my acetate into the right area. I also put a little bit of extra washi tape on just to make sure I've got a really good flip. And now I'm going to try and feed it in. So you notice it's a little bit tight, so I'm going back and trimming it down. So little at a time, don't take off too much just in case you cut it down too small, but you want it to be able to sort of move in and out fairly smoothly, with a little bit of wiggle room in between. Makes it a lot easier. So once I popped on my little magic piece, I decided I wanted to have this quote, "Life is not always so black and white." So I've just written the words in white pen, and now I'm going back in like I usually do and extending my tops and bottoms, putting little triangles on them to make them fill into the page a little bit better. With white paint pens, this one is fairly opaque. Most of them are, especially if they're just going straight onto black, but sometimes you'll notice the more you go over it, the more opaque it will get. So the fact that I'm giving each one of these 2 coats, because I'm making my letters a little bit thicker, just helps make it really pop from the page. When I had the white on there, I decided I want to put a little bit extra white, so I'm using that stamp I had in the background again, just to add in a little bit of an extra text in the background and tie it in. I also decided to put the pull tab and do a little bit of a dotted line around my little section there, so you could sort of see where you needed to pull. So it does pull out mostly well, you just have to give it a little wiggle to go in, but I decided I needed to put a little bit of an extra tab on it just to help pull it out and make it really obvious that that's a moving part in my journal. So I had a little bit of burlap that I had stenciled sitting next to me. I decided that I would use that, so I'm just using my staple gun to staple it on. Again, make sure you're not stapling it down too far, because you do want it to be able to move in and out. So you can sort of see me playing around with it to try and get it in where it needs to be. So that's pretty much the page. I did decide on, you'll notice in the back page I had the words "I see you" on it. I should have stamped that at the same time I stamped the front piece, but I decided not to. However, I thought it'd be a nice sort of balance and also sort of help keep it on the page a little bit by putting the "I see you" on this little banner, just to fill in that little extra space on my page. And I'm again just using glue to glue that down, because I didn't want to put a staple on the side of the page. So this is the finished page. You can sort of see it's, life's not always so black and white. And then when you pull the pad, you can see the colour appear, so it sort of reiterates the quote somewhat. And then with the finished piece popping out, as you can see. So a really, really fun way to do it. As I said before, this was originally a card design from a long, long time ago. Those people have been crafting for a while. I'm sure you've sort of seen this little magic trick before. But, you know, just because it was used for cards doesn't mean you can't use it in your journal. So having these little interactive bits and pieces in your journal, I always find it's a little bit of fun. And I've been doing lots of these recently. So stay tuned and hopefully you'll see a few more. Check out the links below to find out the latest Dina Wakley products I used in this video. And until next time, bye for now.